Well, hello folks, I'm L.A. Little, and this is your daily NeoTA wrap. We take a look at these markets, and we're doing it from a neoclassical perspective. Each time we're asking ourselves what happened today. What does it tell us about the coming ones? We do the show 4 times a week, every Monday through Thursday. It's broadcast at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time. It's archived on YouTube. It's under the channel L.A. Little. If you haven't subscribed and you want to, just reach up in the right-hand corner and do so. You can subscribe on Twitter to my Twitter feed. You can also come to the site and become a member. And if you become a member, there's some big advantages to it. In particular, we've done a lot of changes here, and I'm going to pop this up. If you come into the article today, there's actually some video here of what I'm doing now for members, and I thought I'd share it and let others see it. So if you want to see what I'm doing, take a look at the video. Just come to the front page, and I'll pop back in there. Once you're on the front page, it's just the first article there on the left-hand side. As far as what happened today, let's take a look at that. So we had a big day up. Last night I was telling you had that reversal. You should expect follow-through. That is what you got. And we didn't have any sign other than the fact that we should get a bounce in Europe. The buyers should come in at that price point. Sure enough, they do. 179% higher there. Gold held price. We had oil flip around. Oil was down about 3%, flips around at 2.5% up. Bonds held their gains. Gains across the boards here, right? But then you look over in Asia. Asia's having a hard time, and the Nikkei put on some gains on that failure of the yen, which I also showed you last night and said to expect that to take place. So let's move over to the S&P 500 and see what we got going on. Now, in neoclassical, we're really focused on trend. Trend gives us an idea of what the direction is. And tonight, you actually got a break on the S&P 500, break of a swing point high. What that's going to do is change trend. Now, trend, if you look at it here, was bearish. And so now you're going to go to sideways on this bar. Volume not very good comparatively, so you're going to end up with a suspect break. So it's going to be suspect sideways. And what you have to expect now is, potentially you could do a little, work in this area. But if I look over at the NASDAQ, I suspect this is actually going to push a little bit higher before it does that work. And the test now is going to be the next swing point up here, and it's actually a swing point low that you're coming back into. And if you've been watching me for a little while, then you know what that really means is that you're going to get a retest, right, in an attempt to regenerate. Now, what does that mean? Well, this is a bearish, right? It's a swing point low. The break was here, so it's a bearish one. That means it's going to try to regenerate to the downside. So in other words, you come up there and you try to regenerate back down. Now, the probabilities on that are pretty high, right? Look across. You've been across way more than 6 bars. If you're more than 6 bars after your break, the odds of getting through that are not very good. So as we get back up to that price point, and it's not that far away, we're talking 25 points, that's going to probably be the picture. So that's what I'd be looking at there. Now, the reason I said that we're probably not going to take a break now is if you look at the NASDAQ, NASDAQ hasn't broken yet. So it's got a swing point high here as a target now, and you got a precedent for that target being met. And then the NASDAQ actually has this little area up here that's probably going to give it a hard time too. So the NASDAQ wants to get into this area. Again, that's not too far away. Considering you're moving about 80 points a day on the NASDAQ compared to a normal, 40 or so, you could easily hit that tomorrow. And we got Thursday, Friday, you got a positive week, you got a reversal already. I wouldn't be surprised by the end of the week to see us try to get into that price area. NDX looks almost the same. I'll skip it. The Russell actually got the push too. The Russell's going to go after the swing point high probably tomorrow. Let's go to Asia, because Asia's having some problems. And if we go over to that area, the big lose last night was Shanghai. And Shanghai takes another one of those big hits like it's done before, down to almost 6.5%. So what did Shanghai do? Well, I mean, if you view this from a neoclassical standpoint, and you're looking at a breakdown bar, and even though it wasn't a swing point low, this was the breakdown bar. Many times you'll climb right back up to it and you'll test into it a few times. Maybe not quite to it, maybe a little bit over it, and then you'll probably give it up. And that's kind of what happened here, right? A little push up, give it up. What's the story here? Well, the story is, in my opinion, the story is the fact that, Europe or Asia, one of the two is going to suffer. They both can't prosper given the currency situation, it seems to me. And so what are you doing here? You're coming back into a retest regen zone. That's the breakdown bar in this case. And as you're climbing back up to it, just as I was saying, as you get close to it, you tend to flip around, try to go back the other way. Now, volume did pick up. We could get some carry through tonight, and that might make it a little bit more difficult here in the States. Situation over in Europe, a little bit different. So if we go over to the DAX, now I don't have the volumes tonight, and that's unfortunate. I won't get them, it looks like, until a little bit later. I just checked again. And you got an inside day. Actually, it wasn't inside. You actually got over yesterday's high and closed underneath it. So today's volume was probably pretty important to give us a reasonable tell as to what it's going to do tomorrow. And unfortunately, I don't have that data, so I can't give you that tell. If it comes in before the end of the show, we'll take a look at it. But right now, I can't make the call on what this is going to try and do tomorrow. I saw the FTSE pushed up pretty good on escalating volume, so I'm curious if France and Germany did the same, but I can't tell. The good thing is France did stay over it, so if I had to do an odds-on bet, I would probably bet that tomorrow we see some follow-through. Elsewhere, there's not a lot else going on. If I looked at the sectors are all pushing up, trying to get to their B points of ABCD structures. If I look at the OX markets, really no big tells there. So I'm kind of left with the idea that the indexes are still driving it right here, and those indexes say they're going to try to drive it hard. Maybe a little pause tomorrow, but the NASDAQ seems to suggest we're going to try to push a little bit higher come tomorrow. And if these reads just based on price are right here in Europe, I would expect that's going to be the case. The big caveat is Shanghai. And if Shanghai really has a tough night, drops and breaks and does another 6-7% down, then we're probably going to have a hard time fulfilling that up move I've just been talking about. We'll see what we got tomorrow and leave it at that for tonight. Check it out. Check out what we're doing here at TA today. There's some good stuff going on. I'm making a lot of changes here to help folks. And if you want to be part of it, $15 a month is not much to give to get the kind of information and the teaching that I do. So come join me. Have a great one. Take care. Good night.